SoccerBeat. What's up? Welcome to another edition of SoccerBeat. My name is Umjaka, here to bring you 10 things you don't know about. And I've got a special guest. His name is Mark Haskins, a PSL legend in his own right, made a stop via America, played for Bidvets, Jomo Cosmos, as well as Moroka Swallows. Thank you for joining us, Marky.
I'm very happy. I think I've always said that it's important for the league to be competitive and that, there mustn't be a huge gap or big disparity between the respective teams. And so it's great to see, everyone can beat everyone on any given day. We've already seen, Sundowns losing to a very solid Stellenbosch team. We've now seen a Magezi team just promoted come up and upset Orlando Pirates. And so, it's great for the league to be that way. We don't want a league where there's a runaway winner, even though Sundowns still look like the team that everyone's going to be chasing. We just hope that it's not a 23-point gap come the end of the season.
You know a thing or two about being an underdog and getting close to having that feeling of winning a league title with Moroka Swallows and Kevin Hunt, was it?
Well, yeah, I mean, with Gavin, I think Gavin's last season, we went the second half of the season. I think we lost one game. The funny thing, though, we weren't doing so great to start the season. Yeah. I remember going into the December period. We had 3 games in December. We were told if we don't get 7 points from those 3 games, no Christmas. We trained right through Christmas. And so, that was the pressure. That was the pressure that the team was under at the time. And we won all 3 games because the guys made sure that we enjoyed our Christmas. We had to have a Christmas. So, we started very slow that season, but we picked up beautifully. Second half of the season, I think we only lost to Sundowns, who went on to win the league. But we were unbeaten second half of the season, barring that one game. Close, but not close enough.
Moroka Swallows, of course, no longer around. Part of your other team, Bidvets, who are also no longer around. I know everything started at Jomo Cosmos for you. It's just running it back. Of course, you might have met some characters in all those teams. From junior ranks all the way to the pros. I mean, you made a stop in America as well. I'm sure you got some stories to tell. If I would go through with you on 10 questions on what are the craziest things you've seen, I'm sure you got stories.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, any footballer, I can tell you that you've got stories for days. And if you've played for Cosmos, I think even more so, because Cosmos is the type of team that'll put hair on your teeth. So I had some great times there, some great teammates. I looked at the likes of Innocent and Tume, Sami Makhalifa, Lakin Tlate. Ino and Lucky were quite close. Sure. And, we always had guys who roomed together. And generally, the guy, who the class clowns are. So Innocent and Tume was one of those. At Swallows, Jomo Mokoro, definitely that guy who was, the clown of the team, made fun of everyone, but brought a very jovial mood to the team. Sure. And then, there's characters of note, but one I can pick out that for very different reasons, only because I had a harrowing experience with him, to be honest with you, because Chawe, Avril Paddy, our goalkeeper at Cosmos, I roomed with him twice. And after that, I told Kwezi, the team manager, I said, Manir, I don't ever want to room with him again, because that man does things in his sleep. I promise you, the one day we were in camping, and he's laying next to me because it's 2 single beds that are kind of put together. Sure. He's laying next to me. I'm watching TV, and as I'm focused on the TV, I promise you, the man is laying. Next thing, he jumps up and he makes a save. He literally, it's like he's tipping the ball over the crossbar, and then he just goes back down and sleeps again, like nothing happened. And I'm there like, wait, what? What's going on here? Sure. And then the next morning when I told him about it, we were joking about it. He got angry at me. He says it never happened. The second time, we played a night game in Durban. So obviously when you play the night game, you sleep over. So after the game, they replayed our match. Yeah. And I was up. I was watching. So they replayed it late at night. And I was watching our match. And then next thing, Chawe gets up. Sure. And, he just gets up, like very frantic, very alarmed. He runs to the door of the room. Yeah. And then but in my mind, it's like someone is breaking in. And now he's looking like he's going to go and challenge whoever's breaking in or whatever the case may be. And we are in a hotel room. We are like 20 stories up. And there's windows that open. So now I have to hide myself under the blanket because next thing, maybe he thinks I'm the burglar. And next thing I'm flying out of, I said, no ways. That was the last I told them I'd never room with him again. And the funny thing is that man is strong. In
Sure.
Afrikaans, we said, I'm on it malkrag. So that guy, it wouldn't take much for him to throw me out. I said, never again. So that was that was probably one of my craziest experiences as a footballer, rooming with Avril Pardon. Chawe, I'm sorry, my friend, if you do hear this, but I'm just talking what I experienced.
Avril Padi, the goalkeeper, former goalkeeper, Jomo Cosmos, also Bafana, actually, Avril Padi, a legend of the PSL
The
game. I
funny
love
thing you say that as Bafana, you mentioned Bafana. You know that Avril Pardon made Bafana with a broken hand.
he only
He
realized his
only
head.
he only found out that his hand is broken when he got to Bafana. He'd been
Ah,
playing all along. He played all our games. You know that Jomo, we didn't even have a reserve goalkeeper on the bench. So we had 18 players. But when Chawe was there, I mean, the metal of the man. We never took a reserve keeper to a game. If Chawe is in goal, a lot of times we never had a reserve goalkeeper. We had 7
sure.
outfield players on the bench, no reserve keeper when Chawe was there. That's how that guy is a superhuman, to be honest.
What? I wanted to say, I wanted to ask you, you hit me just as I was about to ask you the myth about his broken hand and being called up for Bafana. So he performed game after game with a broken hand.
He played with, and I mean, obviously, he had this. For him, it was discomfort. For
Sure.
everyone else, it would be a broken hand. For him, it was just a little bit of discomfort.
Discomfort,
But that
yeah.
guy, I mean, when I say malkrach, like he is that when you don't know how strong you are. So that's how he would play with you, fool around like with boxing or whatever. Then he'll hurt you without knowing it.
Without
But
knowing his
yeah,
head.
that he was something else. He made Bafana with a broken hand. Obviously, went on to sign for Pirates, played there for a bit, but you won't meet a nicer guy in football. That's an absolute legend of a man.
Absolute legend, man. Avril Padi. And the best one, yeah. Let's move from crazy to best. The best player you played with, Amaki.
Yo, I played with some absolute stars in my time. One that obviously jumps to mind because of what I learned from them. So I always mention, I kind of have to mention 3 players because they kind of in the same mold. One of them I played against. I didn't have the privilege to play with him, but Tiko Bukwane, Dennis Lotta, Shoes Moshoeu. For me, those 3 absolute legends. And I mean, playing with Tico, made football look so simple. Dennis Lotta, the same thing. Made football look extremely easy. Chisampama, I played with him at Swallows. Even I think it was just the one season, but just watching him, watching his movement on the field, watching how he goes about his business.
Yeah.
Effortless, pure effort, effortless football. Same thing with Tico. I had to mark Shoes Moshoeu one day. Jomo, I was on the bench. Brajay said, go and mark Shoes. The worst, I think, 30 minutes of my life, to be honest with you. Like, literally, at Cosmos, it was man-to-man marking.
Yes.
I went on the field. Brajay, clear instructions. Make sure Shoes doesn't play.
That's
I
it.
mean, I'm standing with the man now. I'm watching the ball. Next thing, he's picking it up 20 yards away from me. And, at that time, the way Cosmos was set up, no one's going to help me. I have to go and try and get close to him. By the time I get close to him, he's getting it somewhere else again. Absolute nightmare to play against. And I only wish I could have played with him, seen him at training day after day. Because I think you learn a lot when you play with a player. Every
Yes.
day you see him at training, how he conducts himself. And I heard such great things, obviously, about the legendary Shoes Moshoeu. But yes, Dennis Lotta, Tiko Bukwane, Shoes Moshoeu, probably the 3 standouts that I got to experience in my career.
RIP to the legends as well, man. To the foreign legends. Of course, Tigo doing his thing. We caught up with him at Kosafa. It was quite nice to see them in Kosafa also. Sean Bartlett, Tigo, all the Southern African legends being in the forefront and in ambassadorial
Yeah.
roles. Eh?
You see, it was this game that turned boys into giants. Even today's aces inherited the name from those who came before. Usavutha lo mlilo, buza kwabaziyo, bazokutshela. Lisegazini, forever.
Betway is giving customers a chance to win big with their 4 to score free weekly prediction. Simply predict the first teams to score in 4 Betway Premiership matches, and you could win 50,000 Rand. Scan the QR code on screen now to enter. Get way more with Betway. Standard T's and C's apply. Hey man, best player, of course, was hard for you to choose, but you could choose your 3 of the
Yeah.
coaches, that were around then, around these crazy players and the best players. Which of these coaches is a definite highlight?
It has to be Brad. I mean, in terms of, again, the craziest coach, the one with the most highlights, has to be Brad J. Being around Brad J day in, day out, it's a laugh a minute, to be honest. And don't get him started on his playing days. I mean, you just marvel at the stories. Even everyone knows the story of him leaving his wedding to go and play.
Sure.
And that's why we never had an excuse. You could never say, Brad J, I can't make it because, or I can't. There was no excuses. Obviously, he's gonna come back at you, Ebra. I left on my wedding day. So the funny thing, though, is that I actually got married when I got married, 2004. I got married on Saturday. We had a game on Sunday.
Sure.
And Brajay wanted me to play on the Sunday. And then even on my wedding day, he asked my wife if I can come to camp. The only way I was gonna play, I could come straight to the game, but going to camp that night, but you can't go to play the game if you weren't in camp. So unfortunately, I wasn't able to make it to the game. But Brajay, I mean, he was a joy to be around. The stories were endless, and he always had his running jokes. He even had jokes about his 11. He said the ugliest 11 in the PSL. He would make, and then he would literally name his starting 11, the ugliest 11 in the PSL, or the blackest 11 in the PSL, things like that. That's the type of jokes Prajay would always make. And I'm not going to mention who made those teams, though. Let's not go there. That might spark some controversy. So, but yeah, Prajay was that character.
Yeah, come on. At least you're gonna at some stage you have to give us a top 5. Yeah.
No. Ask Prajay, he'll tell you.
No, thanks a lot, Marky. Let's go for a Vi and pay some bills. I will come back with more and wrap up in here some of the highlights from Marky's career. Congratulations to this week's winners of the Puma Mamelodi Sundowns competition. Every single week, we are giving away one of 2 2024-2025 exclusive Mamelodi Sundowns jerseys by Puma right here on SoccerBeat. All you have to do is look out on our socials for the question and answer and follow all the directions. Standard T's and C's apply. SoccerBeat, awesome. Going through the highlights of his career. Mark Haskins is here with me, a PSL legend. Moroka Swallows, Jomo Cosmos, Bidvets, a little bit of Silver Stars, and Via America as well. Marky, of course, you told us some stories. But Mark, now I have to force you to make a top five, to make a five-a-side. I imagine Avril Party, the craziest one, is gonna be in that five-a-side. I don't know. You tell me.
It's a tough one. It's a toss-up. I actually thought about it. It's literally a toss-up, Ronwen Williams or Avril Party. I got to experience Ronwen Williams in the last season of my career, and I mean, we see what he is now. I said it then. Like 10 years ago, I already said that I felt that Ronwen Williams was the best keeper in the country. So I would probably have to say Ronnie probably shades Avril slightly, just slightly. So Ronwen Williams would be in there. Kagiso Denge is probably a player that a lot of people maybe don't know or won't remember that well, but he was an absolute phenomenal footballer. He's touch is second to none. And we come a long way. We got to play junior football together. So I guess I've seen the best of Kagiso Denge. I've seen what he's capable of. So he's one of my all-time
Yeah.
favorite footballers. I always said the most complete footballer I ever played with in the PSL is Ashley Hartog. Again, maybe not a name that people are very familiar with, but Ashley
Every
had
position.
everything. He could play equally with his left and his right. Aerially was exceptionally impressive. Great on the ball, great off the ball. He was the most complete footballer I got to play with in the PSL. So I would definitely put Ashley Hartog in there. And then a player that unfortunately I went to his wedding. I mean, I should say his funeral. Sorry. Um,
Yeah.
just a short while ago, just this past weekend, 2 weekends ago, is Elton Meiring. I think probably
Sure.
the most underrated striker the country has ever seen. He scored goals for every team he's played for. I think he has the record for having scored the most in the most clubs. So for 9 different clubs, but probably the most underrated striker that
Beat
you've
number
seen.
9.
And
Number 9.
so yeah, so I guess that's probably my five-a-side team, and I have to put myself in there as well.
Ah! And when you were wrapping up at 4, I'm like, hey, okay, this one is putting himself in there. Nah, that's a solid one, Marcus. A solid one. I think you guys are scoring a lot of goals in that team. Um, and I see it vying for a couple of the five-a-side teams that I've seen here on Soccer Beat. And last one, I think we're gonna have a part two, Marky. And last one for our part one, the toughest opponent. The toughest opponent. I've heard about your best player. I've heard about the craziest teammate. I've seen your private side team. I want to hear about the toughest opponent now.
Again, it's a little unorthodox, and it's gonna sound a little vain. But to be honest, I played against some exceptional players, and it was always a great battle. I think of Tinashe Nengomashe in the midfield. At some point, I was playing on the wing, so against like a Cyril Nzama who stands out in that. Peter Peterson. I remember when I was young playing at left wing for Cosmos. Peter Peterson at Swallows made life very difficult for me. And there were quite a few over the years because I played so many. I said the only two positions I didn't play is centre back and goalkeeper. So it's different positions, different players over the years. But I think if I can say this, and if this does answer your question, I was my toughest opponent, purely because I had no confidence. I struggled with confidence. I had confidence issues as a player, and I think I was every coach's nightmare. Every coach that I played for
Sure,
lamented the fact that I don't have self belief, and so at training I was
sure,
unplayable. But on match day I didn't show up because I didn't have self belief. So there were days where I did show up where confidence wasn't an issue, and on those days I was
yeah,
unplayable. I was able to dominate, but more often than not, I just struggled in terms of confidence. If I had a bad first touch, my game was gone. If my first touch wasn't great, or if my first touch wasn't good, I was going to have a terrible game. And so, unfortunately, that plagued my career. And that's why I probably say I didn't play to my potential. And so, it was purely because of my confidence issues. And that's why I was probably my biggest and worst opponent.
do you feel you played in the right positions as well?
I played so many positions. That's the thing. I don't think I ever, eventually, maybe towards the end of my career, because I played as a striker as well at times at Cosmos and at
Yeah,
Swallows. I played striker. At Wits, I played primarily as an 8 or a 10. And then, in my at Supersport, the same thing, almost as a 6, at Supersport, more as a 6, and towards an 8 as well. But I never consistently played one position. I played as a winger at Swallows, as a striker, and as a midfielder. I never kind of set myself in one position, and I think that started at Cosmos, where I was almost a stopgap player. At Cosmos, I literally played just about everywhere. At points, I remember at Swallows, at right back, left back. Gavin Hunt used me as a left back once. So that I think that also didn't help much.
no, Maki, thank you very much, man, for joining us. Please, enter the competition. Look out for the competition details dropping after this. This is Mark Haskins. We're talking about his career. We got through a couple of highlights, but we'll have a part 2 to follow up on this one because we got through quite a bit from some deep conversations about Jomo Sono, Jomo Cosmos, and some deep. We have to do our research and hit our Wikipedia because you mentioned some names that we have to go on Wikipedia to find out about. So we need to do our Google research and come back for part 2. This is Umjaka. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks.
SoccerBeat. Let the beat do the talking. SoccerBeat. What's